Right, so I'm coming on here to answer questions I've been getting from my clients, and it really has to do with the state of the online marketplace and the industry, and really what it means for you and your business and how to combat it if you can combat it. So, this video is for you if you feel like you are fighting way too hard to be seen, if your ad costs are getting way too expensive, if they're increasing and literally haven't stopped increasing since last year. I'll explain why they've been doing that in a second. And or if you just want to get a better understanding of how to make more sales in this time of COVID and rising prices and iOS updates. So last year it all started, obviously COVID lockdown happened. And there were an influx of businesses coming online. There are a lot of people coming and marketing, and we saw Facebook ads especially, but all paid ads really increase. Then there were the holidays, and then the elections, and then the Olympics. So we kind of were waiting around and checking it out, and they kept increasing because all of these things. And now we have the iOS update. I'm not going to get into the details, but ultimately um, it requires people to explicitly give their permission for their mobile devices to track them, whereas before just kind of tracking them. So they're getting locked down on privacy and things like that, which is great. However, for advertisers, it is starting to be, I guess, uh, the not the benefits. The benefits are great, but for marketers, we're seeing that the costs really increase, and so not everyone is happy. However, there is a way to mitigate it. So, instead of just calling it quits or getting frustrated and blaming the algorithm, there are things that you can do that you should be doing if you're serious about your marketing. So, don't worry about the huge ad increases. I don't think they're going to be going down anytime soon, if at all. But there really is a way to work with it. LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, we've seen this especially. LinkedIn, um, slightly different, but they've always been more expensive in the realm of things. And even then, we can work on it to get those costs down. And ultimately, it's not even about the costs. It's about getting more sales and getting a higher ROI and really increasing the return on investment that you're seeing. It doesn't matter if you pay $50 for a lead, but if they end up being $100,000 customer, then it's completely worth it. So it really is harder to be successful in the paid arena. And not just that, but just standing out in general is really hard with all of these changes that have happened over the past year and a half. And whether you are just starting your business or you are seasoned, you need to be optimizing your marketing. So we need to kind of take a step back and audit and really figure a few things out to make sure that we can move forward in a way that is really sustainable for your business and creates a great ROI and creates more sales for you. So I wanted to go through these few things, and a lot of them we'll be talking about just in a bunch of videos, but the more general overarching themes I wanted to talk about. These are really the themes that are going to be evergreen. Yes, I have tips and tricks that we can kind of buck the system for a while, but that is always going to be changing. I will be talking about that. Also, if you want more information on that, check out the free case study we have. It was about how we got our client to $800,000 months in just like 3 months. So we, more than quadrupled their sales. And I give you all the tips and tricks on how we did that. And it's more of like I talk about the overarching themes, but we also get very specific in the case study itself, but also the emails that follow that case study too. So if you want to check that out, I'll link that. That would be really great if you guys are curious to figure out your tips and tricks for how to bring in more money right now. But for the bigger, the big scheme of things, let's take a step back and let's talk about the ways that you really need to start to step up your marketing. We can no longer blame the algorithm. It's just kind of a way of life. And if you're going to be in the marketing space, in the entrepreneurial space, you have to get creative. We've seen that with COVID. We've seen that, with any type of season in our business, that we see a slump or we see things change or just honestly crash and burn in front of us. You have to be able to pivot and be malleable. So, first and foremost, in order to do that, you have to have your foundation in place. It's like Mary Morris said, if the bones are good, the rest don't matter. So, let's get those bones and then get that foundation in place. If you don't have a great foundation, your things will crumble, your ads will crumble, your marketing will crumble, your business will crumble, your home will crumble, your friendships, all of this stuff. So, first and foremost, I want you to take a step back and really think about authentic content marketing. Gen Z, there's a theme there where, there's a lot of distrust in brands now. There's a lot of distrust in brands. People just don't like brands. They're starting to feel like they're showing up everywhere in their world, becoming oversaturated. And just again, with all these businesses coming online, there's a lot more messaging that you have to kind of cut through. There's a lot of clutter that you have to get past. So think about what your consumer is asking for online and really try to create content that serves in a very authentic way. So that's why I love SEO. That's one of the main reasons I got into it. If you saw my last video, it's really true to my heart. And I 100% believe that if you are a business and you want to be an industry leader and you want to be an impactful brand and you want to leave a mark on this world, SEO is a non-negotiable. It meets people where they are in real time when they're looking for answers to their problems or when they're looking for your services. It's a win-win. You show up for them when they need you and they see you at the top of Google and they come buy from you. So really SEO is all about staying authentic, creating content that helps people, and like what's not a better way to market yourself than really staying true and really connecting with your audience by helping them with what they're looking for. So that's the first part. The second part is have a deep understanding of yourself. And actually, this should probably be number one, is to really have that deep understanding. And you probably should not move on or do anything else with your business until you figure this out. If you're not feeling aligned with your brand right now and understanding yourself and your business, it's really time to take a step back and audit that. So give yourself a brand audit. You can ask yourself, like, what do you care about? What sets you apart? What bothers you about your industry? And just, what makes you you? What makes you special? And more than anything, this kind of goes with number three, is what do you stand for? You have to have a brand that is bigger than you. You have to have something, a movement that is bigger than your brand even. And that is going to be essentially what you stand for. And that comes from understanding yourself. So what is, and even this, like, what is your vibe? What is your brand vibe? It's kind of like all for one, understanding of yourself, understanding what movement you want to be a part of, and what vibe you want to be in. This is literally the container, the big jar that everything else gets put into. If you don't have this jar for yourself and you're just throwing in, marketing messaging and ads and random tactics, it has nowhere to go. It's just going to kind of like fall all over the floor. You need that jar to really put those pieces in and to really contain it and fill up and, make sure that you're getting seen. So think about it. Like, you see brands like Peloton, they have a vibe, they stand for something, and not just the brand, but the individual riders themselves have their own vibe. They have their own statements. They have their own things that they believe in, that they talk about when they ride. Dove and their women's body image campaign with, women who are normal size, or not like the skinny people, the skinny models you see all over the place. They didn't even talk about, themselves at all. Maybe just at the end in the logo, but really they talked about their bigger mission, because people want to be part of a mission. They want to be part of something bigger themselves, just like brands and just like you and your business want to have an impact in the world. Other people do too. And it's creating that commonality of where you guys can come together and really connect on that. That's where connection is going to happen, and that's where people are going to fall in love with you. So think about, like, what's your brand vibe? Is it evolution? Is it hotness? Is it being sexy? Is it being fun? Is it just self-love? Like, think about the overarching vibe, and again, that becomes your container, and I want you to show that and to showcase that in everything you do, from from your copy, from your visuals, to every single medium, to how you act. If you're the face of your brand, how are you showing up every day in the vibe of fun or sexy or self-evolution? So just think about that, and that's really the first part, is creating that container that you can put things in and start to put your marketing in. Now this next one, people get so up in arms about this, but yes, you do have to niche. It's not what you think, though. You don't have to niche down and have one service that you offer. It might help, especially if you're getting started. I always start and use the example of Amazon. Of, they came in and they just sold textbooks. That's it. Then they started selling books in general. Then they started selling, a little bit of everything, and now they're overtaking the world. So that's how they started, is that they became known for something. They were consistent, they delivered, people fell in love with their brand, and then they started to expand. What I've seen is that there are a lot of people and a lot of gurus on social media who are touting these these things that may be true for really big brands that have unlimited budget, but might not be true for the startup, or for if your business is just getting started, or you just got a marketing budget. You have to be a huge brand to not be able to niche. Now, again, it doesn't need to be your products or services. You can niche your target audience. You can niche your marketing messaging. You can niche just like your ad targeting. There's so many things that you can get really granular about. And that's all about really getting so niche that you can focus your messaging and really hit home to these people. So think about it. When you go in for surgery, and let's say you have like a brain tumor, do you want to go to the general surgeon? Do you want to go to the brain surgeon? Or do you want to go to the brain surgeon that has won multiple awards with getting out, with removing tumors for a certain cause that you have? I know my answer, and it's not going to be the general one. It's going to be the one that has won awards, that's gotten very specific, and has, their specialty. Even big brands will do this. So Under Armour does this, Nike does this. They have the huge brand, and they almost market to everybody, essentially, who is interested in sports or moving their body, but they really niche down into their campaigns. Their businesses are broken up by niches. So you have to niche down. And anybody who tells you that you don't have to, they either are working with unlimited budgets and they just are so out of touch with the everyday consumer, or they're just lying. They're just trying to get attention and trying to go against the grain. But you do have to niche down. And this is all about really seeing your audience and intimately understanding them. So now you've understood yourself, you're understanding your audience, and now it's really time to create a strategy around that. This is your foundation, your messaging, understanding where you are now in your business, and understanding where you want to go, understanding where your consumers are, and understanding where they want to go. Now, you have this jar of your vibe, which, obviously encompasses everything, but now you're niching down to your target audience, to, picking the service that you want to focus on, and seeing how that aligns and how you can talk about it while staying in your vibe, and also understanding and talking to your audience how they want to be talked to. This all comes from strategy. So it's about understanding the ones who are making decisions. It's about understanding what to say, where to say it, when to say it, how to say it, all of those. I go into more detail about this into that case study I was telling you about. So again, I'll link that in. Go check it out. It's really great if you want to start creating a strategy for your brand. Just doing tactics and just starting to run ads because you feel like you should, or starting to write blog posts because content is king, you've heard that, is not going to do anything for you. It is going to be a huge waste of time. And if you're doing that now, you are leaking money, you are missing opportunities. So again, check out that free strategy. Or if you have questions, of course, comment below. I can't see right now. I'm coming from Restream, so if you do have questions, you guys, make sure that you put them below. I'd love to have that two-way conversation, whether it's now or whether it's, I come back and chat with you. So that's really important. Yeah, really the strategy, and that's, all encompassing is just what we talked about, is really getting in and doing your research and pivoting. And another thing too is you want to be consistent. You have to be consistent. So you can't just create this vibe, this message, understand your audience, go after them, for 2 weeks or even, 4 months, and if it doesn't work, quit. That's not how marketing works. Marketing is very um it's very it moves all the time, and you have to keep up with it, and you have to test so many things until you hit that sweet spot. And once you hit that sweet spot, that's when you scale, and that's when it just snowballs and sales come in. But there is a learning curve for every single type of advertising or marketing that you do, so just stick with it. But you guys, of course, ads are increasing, things are getting, more saturated. However, the more you can really hone in on these things that we talked about, the more you're going to stand out, and the more you're going to be this magnet that people can magnetize themselves to. So yeah, let me know your questions, and I will be back again going more into depth about this.